I'm choosing him, but can we still be friends? You're my safety net, she asked. I deleted her number and moved cities. She just found my LinkedIn. He dumped her after maxing out her credit cards. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. It's crazy how your brain records the moment your life changes. It's not the big speeches. It's not the yelling. For me, it was the cool, smooth glass of my phone under my thumb and a text message that lit up the screen. Jessica had left her phone on the couch when she went to get a drink. We were supposedly watching a movie, but she'd been glued to the damn thing all night, smiling at it with a secret little curve of her lips I hadn't seen directed at me in months. When it buzzed and lit up with a preview of the message, I wasn't even trying to snoop. It was just there. Derek, can't wait to see you tonight. This guy still doesn't have a clue? This guy? Me. Doesn't have a clue. True. The world got very, very quiet. The soundtrack of the movie faded into a dull hum. I heard the ice clink in her glass in the kitchen. 3 years. 3 years of being her rock, her planner, her safe harbor. When she was stressed about work, I was the one who meal prepped so she wouldn't live on coffee. When she had the flu, I slept on the floor next to the bed because I was terrified she'd choke in her sleep. I loved being that for her. It felt like my purpose. And now I was this guy. She came back, humming some tune I didn't recognize, and picked up her phone. She saw the notification. I saw the tiny, almost imperceptible flinch in her shoulders before she mastered herself and cleared it. The mask was back on. I picked up the remote and muted the movie. The silence was heavy. Who's Derek? I asked. My voice was calm. Dead calm. She actually tried to laugh. It was a brittle, ugly sound. What? He's just a guy from work. Why are you being weird? I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. I didn't repeat the question. I didn't get angry. I just held her in that gaze, and my silence became a wall she couldn't climb over. She was prepared for a fight. She was ready for me to be the paranoid, jealous boyfriend. She wasn't prepared for this. Nothing. The mask didn't just slip. It shattered. Fine. Okay. You want to know? She snapped, standing up and putting the couch between us like I was a threat. I've met someone. His name is Derek. I stayed seated. Inside, I felt something vital breaking apart, but the process was clean, surgical. It was the sound of locks disengaging. It just happened, she said, the words spilling out now with a frantic, almost excited energy, like she'd been dying to tell me. He's different, Alex. He's exciting. He has this energy. He sees me. He makes me feel alive. I let the cliché hang in the air between us. I let it rot. I see you, I said, my voice still low and even. I see you every day. No, not like that, she said, waving a hand dismissively at me, at our apartment, at our entire life together. Not like this. You and I, we're just comfortable. It's like we're roommates. Derek, he's an adventure. I nodded slowly, as if she'd just explained a complex business problem. I stood up. The movement was deliberate, final. Okay. Her eyes widened. Okay. That's all you have to say. You should be with him. I turned and walked toward our bedroom. I needed a bag. I needed to think. The plan was already forming in the cool, quiet ruins of my mind. Wait, she yelled, scrambling after me. The confusion in her voice was palpable. This wasn't the script. Alex, it doesn't have to be the end for us. My hand was on the bedroom doorknob. I stopped but didn't turn. You're my best friend, she pleaded, her voice softening into a manipulative coo. You're my safety net. I can't imagine my life without you in it. Just in a different way. Safety net. The word didn't hurt. It was like a key turning the last lock. Every sacrifice, every moment of support, every single time I had been there, it all shrunk down into that one pathetic term. I wasn't a person. I was a function, a utility, an insurance policy against her own bad decisions. I finally turned and looked at her, and I felt it. Nothing. No love, no hate, no pain. Just a vast, empty clarity. I didn't grant her an answer. I didn't give her a single word more. I opened the door, walked inside, and closed it behind me with a soft, definitive click. The silence that remained was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It was the sound of me disappearing. The silence in the bedroom was a physical thing, a clean, empty space where the noise of our relationship had been. There was no rage, no tears. There was only a list of tasks, clear and precise in my mind. I was a project manager overseeing the dissolution of my own life. I packed that night, not in a frantic, angry whirlwind, but with a methodical calm that felt alien and powerful. I took my clothes, my books, my personal laptop. I left the framed photo of us at the beach, a gift from her. I left the silly ceramic mug she'd bought me that said, "World's okayest boyfriend." I left every trace of the man she thought I was, the comfortable, reliable fixture, right there in that apartment, like a shed skin. I didn't write a note. What was there to say? Good luck with your adventure? She'd see that as sarcasm. I'll miss you. A lie. My silence was the only message she deserved. The next morning, I called my boss as I loaded the last box into my car. "Mike, it's Alex. That transfer position to the Northwest branch. Is it still available?" "It is," he said, sounding surprised. "But it starts in 2 weeks. You'd have to move fast." "I'll be there," I said, and ended the call. The ghosting was surgical. I didn't block her number immediately. I needed to see the trajectory of her expectation. The first text came as I was driving away, the apartment key left in the mailbox. "Jessica, 9:14 a.m. Are you really just going to leave without talking this through?" I didn't reply. I watched the city skyline shrink in my rearview mirror. "Jessica, 12:30 p.m. This is so immature, Alex. We're adults. We can be civilized about this." I imagined her in her apartment, waiting for me to crack, to come back, so we could have a civilized conversation where she got to have both me and Derek, just in different boxes. Her safety net and her adventure. I pulled over at a rest stop, opened my phone, and blocked her number. Then I went through my social media, archiving photos, untagging, unfriending. It wasn't an emotional purge, it was digital housekeeping. By the time I checked into a temporary apartment in my new city, a bland but clean box that smelled of nothing but bleach and possibility, the operation was complete. Jessica had been erased from my digital world. The only thing left was the quiet. And the quiet was glorious. It was the first time in 3 years that my phone wasn't a source of low-grade anxiety. There was no one to check in with, no one to manage the emotions of. The silence wasn't lonely, it was peaceful. I focused on the new job, learning the new city, building a routine that was entirely, selfishly, my own. A month in, my new work phone buzzed with an unknown number. I knew, with a cold certainty, who it was. The call came on a Tuesday, just after I'd gotten home from the gym. The number had a familiar area code. I almost let it go to voicemail, but a part of me, the part that needed to see the car crash to truly look away, answered. "Hello, Alex? Oh my God, you picked up. It's Qley. Qley." Jessica's hawk-eyed, drama-loving best friend. The one who'd always subtly approved of men who were projects and found my stability uninspiring. "Qley. Alex, thank God. I didn't know if this number still worked. Look, you need to come back. You were right. Jessica's a mess." I didn't confirm or deny that I'd been right about anything. I just waited. "Qley." Her voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper, as if she were sharing gossip, not a friend's crisis. "That Derek guy is a total loser. A complete and utter user." "Alex." My tone was flat, devoid of any warmth or recognition. "What do you want, Qley?" "Qley." She was taken aback by my lack of engagement. I want you to talk to her. He quit his job a week after she left you for him. Said he was focusing on his music. He's living in her apartment, and she's paying for everything. He doesn't do anything. She's supporting him. I said nothing. The silence stretched, forcing her to fill it. "Qley, it's a disaster. She's crying all the time. You were always so stable, so reliable. She sees it now. She made a huge mistake." The word reliable hung in the air, no longer an insult, but a desperate plea. They wanted their appliance back. The reliable, stable machine that paid bills and provided emotional support without messy needs of its own. "Alex." I finally spoke, my voice calm and utterly devoid of sympathy. "That sounds like a problem for Jessica and Derek." "Qley," she sputtered. "What?" "Alex, be serious. She was your girlfriend for 3 years. Don't you even care? Aren't you even a little bit sorry for her?" That was the question they all wanted answered. They needed my sympathy to validate their narrative, to make me a participant in their drama again. "Alex, I have to go." I ended the call. I didn't slam the phone down. I just pressed the button and placed it on the counter. The quiet of the apartment settled back around me, deeper and more satisfying than before. The final piece of the karma puzzle fell into place a week later. I wasn't looking for it. I'd muted all our old mutual friends, but one of them, a guy I'd always gotten along with, must have forgotten to exclude me from a post. It was a public status, a vague, frustrated rant. Some people are just trash. Using someone until they're bled dry, then ghosting. Hope that studio equipment was worth destroying someone's credit, you deadbeat. There were a few comments of support, but one stood out, from another friend. I can't believe Jessica let him max out her cards. She's literally ruined. So there it was. The adventure had a price tag, and it was everything she had. The safety net was gone, and the freefall had begun. I closed the app, made myself dinner, and didn't think about her again for a long time. The unraveling was complete, and it had nothing to do with me. I was just a spectator now, and a profoundly uninterested one at that. The peace of my new life was a fortress, and Jessica's attempts to breach it were like faint, distant noises against thick walls. I'd built something solid. A promotion at work, a nicer apartment with a view of the city lights, a circle of friends who knew me only as Alex, not as Jessica's ex. I was happy, genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy. And that, I would later realize, was the one outcome she had never anticipated. The first attempt was a text from a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was a dead giveaway. Unknown number, 11:23 p.m. Alex, it's me. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I can't stop thinking about you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I miss you. Please. It was the safety net play, the gentle tug on the leash to see if I was still tied to the post. The message was all about her mistakes, her feelings, her need. There was no "how are you?" No, "I hope you're well." Just a demand for my attention to soothe her regret. I read it once, felt a flicker of nothing, and blocked the number. It took less than 3 seconds. Weeks passed. The second attempt was an email, sent to my old personal address I still checked for subscriptions. The subject line was just, "Please. Alex, I'm in real trouble. Derek is gone. He took everything. He maxed out my cards on studio equipment, and then just vanished. I'm going to lose my apartment. I have no one. You were the only good thing in my life. I'm so sorry. Please, I need you." This was the emergency plea. It was more desperate, laying out the facts of her ruin, trying to appeal to my protector instinct. It was the same tactic as before. I need you, but now with higher stakes. She was no longer just lonely, she was drowning. And she still believed, with every fiber of her being, that it was my job to jump in and save her. I didn't reply. I didn't feel anger or satisfaction. I felt a mild annoyance, like seeing a spam email from a prince in Nigeria. I marked it as spam. The third attempt was a voicemail. She must have dug up my new work number from the company directory. My office phone lit up with an extension I didn't recognize, and I let it go to voicemail. An hour later, I pressed play. The voice on the other end wasn't sad or pleading anymore. It was sharp, brittle, laced with tears of pure fury. "I can't believe you're ignoring me. After everything we had. 3 years, Alex. I'm drowning here and you're just what? Too good for me now? I see you updated your LinkedIn, Mr. Big Shot Senior Project Lead in New City. You're a cold, heartless bastard. You're just sitting there in your perfect new life while I'm falling apart. I hope you're happy." Click. I stood up from my desk, walked to the break room, and poured myself a coffee. I almost smiled. The mask was fully off. The woman who had asked for friendship was now screaming insults because her former utility wasn't functioning. Her true colors, entitlement, blame, and venom, were finally on full display. This wasn't about missing me. It was about her being furious that I was no longer there to catch her fall. A few days after the voicemail, my direct office line rang. I was in the middle of reviewing a project timeline. Alex, his name, project management. There was a shaky breath on the other end. "Jessica," voice trembling, a forced calm. "Alex, it's Jessica. Please don't hang up." My grip on the pen didn't tighten. My heart rate didn't spike. I felt a profound, almost clinical detachment. She had crossed a final line by invading my professional space. "Alex." My tone was polite, identical to how I'd answer any unknown caller. "How did you get this number?" "Jessica, I called the main line and said I was a client from your old branch. I had to talk to you. I'm so lost without you. He ruined me, Alex. My life is in shambles. My credit is destroyed. I'm getting evicted. You were my rock. My safety net. She was sobbing now, the words tumbling out in a practiced, pathetic monologue. Alex. I didn't let her finish. I said her name, my voice calm, firm, and definitive. Jessica. Jessica. The sobbing stopped. A hopeful, wet whisper. Yes. Alex, that net has been cut. The line went silent. Alex, I'm not your rock. I'm not your backup plan. I'm someone who lives in New City, with a job I love and a peace I haven't had in years. Your chaos is no longer my concern. Do not contact me again. I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't hang up with force. I simply pressed the release button on the phone, severing the connection with the same finality I'd closed the bedroom door all those months ago. It was over. A week later, a notification popped up on my screen while I was updating my professional portfolio. A connection request on LinkedIn. Jessica, last name, marketing coordinator at her company message. Hi Alex, hope you're well. Would be great to connect with you professionally. I stared at it. The audacity was almost impressive. After the screaming voicemail, after the desperate calls, this was her last, pathetic gambit. To pretend it was professional. To try and sneak back into my orbit through the only door she hadn't yet slammed shut. I didn't accept. I didn't decline. Declining would have been an action, a recognition of her existence. I simply left the request in perpetual pending status. A digital monument to her irrelevance. I leaned back in my chair, looking out the window of my apartment at the sparkling skyline of my city. My city. I thought about the dinner plans I had that night with a woman from my rock climbing gym. Smart, funny, and fiercely independent. I thought about the project my team had just nailed. I thought about the quiet of my home, a silence that was full and warm. I felt nothing for Jessica. No hatred, no pity, no lingering affection. Not even a sense of victory. She was a closed chapter in a book I was no longer reading. The ultimate victory wasn't in rejecting her. It was in the genuine, complete, and utter indifference that had taken root in the space she once occupied. She was gone, and I was, finally and completely, free. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.